Welcome back to the Artie Lange Show. Ralph Macchio's here, a guy who helped me get a movie made that I wrote, which is no easy feat. This falls under text Ralph was dying to hear from Jimmy Palumbo. On way, be there in 10.
Right. Yeah.
Jimmy's in beer league now. Jimmy, this shows how I have no schmoozing ability. We wrapped beer league, and this is the first time I'm seeing Ralph since. Of course, I was in a mental institution for 2 years. But Jimmy
I did see you at the premiere. I saw you at the premiere.
Well, I
you don't remember that, but I saw you at the premiere.
I started using it again. No, but Jimmy, like a leech, leeches onto Ralph, like my buddy Jimmy. And I always told you, and he's great in the movie. I always told him, I said, Jim,
he is great.
He was the kind of guy who kept his average in softball and would tell people at a club, why am I not getting laid? Because you told the girl you're hitting 380 in a softball.
Right.
So I said, one day I'm going to write a movie, and you don't want any arguments. Just do what I say, and you'll be funny in it. And we made him a guy who is that pain in the ass who keeps his own average, and he's great in it. But he wouldn't stop talking to Ralph.
Yeah.
Let me say if Jimmy came to you one night and said, "Listen, I need a place to stay," do you open your home to him?
Be the greatest tap dancing I've ever done in my life. I would embrace him, maybe give him a hug and a kiss.
What, Ralph? I'll get you off. Get you off the hook. Send them over.
No, I send him over to your house. But he did visit my house in Montauk.
Were you there?
Yes, he did with the baby. Right?
Oh, okay.
Is memory serving?
Well, that's
right?
a ploy.
He has a child, does he not?
Yeah.
Okay, good. It was that guy.
Did the child know who he was?
No, not at that point.
Steve Martin told a great joke when he hosted the Oscars. He was talking about how violent movies are. He said, I took a 9-year-old to see this movie, and it was so violent. The 9-year-old was crying and crying, and then I realized it was because he didn't know who I was.
No, he did come visit me, and
so you don't dislike him?
I don't dislike him. He's a good guy. He's a good guy, and my daughter did a small role in a film called that Jimmy was in, called Girl Most Likely with Kristen Wiig and Matt Dillon.
Who is she in that movie? Your daughter?
She plays one of the girls at the bar. She's a Jersey
saw it.
Shore girl.
Oh, okay.
And she calls out Kristen Wiig on how she dresses like her mother or something.
So how old is your oldest kid?
21.
That's unbelievable.
My son's 18. My son is 18. My daughter's 21.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are they both in the business?
My daughter is. My son is more of a science head. He's applying to colleges now. Maternal side of the gene pool. He's going to do great.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
They look incredibly youthful.
They look. No, I should look younger than them by next week. That's my goal, and then I'll be done.
Well, is she going to be a doctor?
No. My daughter's she's a dance major at college.
Oh, no, wait, your son's the science.
My son's he's a science kid, but he doesn't like medicine, so I don't know where he's going to wind up. But he does well, science, math, logic. Great kid, great sports, big sports fan, big hockey fan.
Okay,
big because he just loves sports, so I enjoy that with him.
Did you grow up? Did he grow up with you? I mean, that's the other thing. You were probably there a lot as a father, and
I was, because I that was where the lull happened between the big movies you mentioned and beer league. Is when I raised the family.
Between the De Niro play and the Artie Lange.
The De Niro play and the Artie Lange. That's exactly it.
Your career is really fascinating because how old were you when you did the De Niro play?
24.
Now, he doesn't do a lot of plays. So this is a long time ago in the sense that he was, his movie career thriving, it always did.
He had just done The Mission at that point. So
in 85.
Right,
85,
yes. And
okay.
86 was when we were on Broadway.
Okay. What kind of a guy is he?
He was very intense with the work, extremely serious about it.
Right.
Took a very long time in the process. Mm-hmm. I think mainly as far as getting the lines down and once he got there, it was just unbelievable the changes and the layers that he would add. But as an eager beaver kid that I was, it's like I just did a Coppola movie.
Right,
I'm on Broadway with De Niro.
Right.
What this most
stupid. Well, that's the thing. Your ego could get carried away. Yeah.
But at that point in my life, I never forget. I have this quote. It still exists in some book written by me. Where I said, "Yeah, I think I'm going to work on and off till I'm 30. Then I'll retire and kick back." Stupidest. Just so stupid.
Now, the other thing with De Niro being there, was it hard rehearsing with all those black women?
That's a whole other story. They were around.
Burt Young is another. Burt Young is fascinating.
Yeah.
What is he like?
Paulie.
Is he like that?
Nah,
does he talk like that? You never hear him talk.
He mumbles.
He mumbles.
But he was extremely affectionate.
Oh, okay,
It was
yeah.
very affectionate. Like I was, anytime he'd see me, I think I was like, either the son he never had
Right.
or the younger brother. So there was a real affectionate passion for each other. I mean, that play was that as well. But De Niro would take a lot of time to get his, to choose the way that he wanted to play the scenes. Where I came in day one, knew my lines, knew his lines.
Well, is that
knew
what's more of a play approach? Is the De Niro thing more of a film approach, like going over and?
I think it's a combination of the two. I think I was way over eager to have everything down, show ready on day two, and it probably slowed my process of reaching a higher level because I was so in tune with what I thought it was, where the exploration of not sort of being grounded yet led De Niro to, explore areas that were untapped and that I would not have gotten to till I broke through that. And I learned that from him, but it took a long time.
I could imagine.
It took a long time.
How long did you do the play for?
We did. The whole process was probably about 10 months from the first rehearsal down at the Public Theater through the run on Broadway. But then we had a break in between. We were on Broadway for about 3.5 months.
That's funny. I'm as big a fan as I never knew he in the '80s did a play. I know he did theater like
it
that.
was it was a pretty hot ticket. It was at the Longacre.
Without mentioning anybody, because I know you never would, but. Is there anyone you ever worked with who you just couldn't stand? Like, there's someone just like you really wanted to punch in the face, type, and you had to work with them for a couple of months.
There's a little silence as I'm thinking. No, I'm going down. I'm going through the Outsiders right now because there's
It could be director or whatever. I mean,
No, I don't. There's certain ones that I like better than others.
Right.
I'm gonna tap
But
dance
nobody
on.
you hate anywhere.
Nobody I hated. So no, I will say this much, and we're friends now. We talk about it. C. Thomas Howell and I on the Outsiders is Pony Boy and Johnny. So
Right.
literally the two. I mean, he was the protagonist, but Johnny.
You
was
guys were. But the other thing to say about you that's impressive too. You're one of the two leads of that movie. with that.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. I mean, certainly in the edit of the original version of that, it followed their story the most, and up to the church and all that stuff when Matt Dillon comes up and all that. So there was a time that he was from a stunt. His dad was a stuntman. He was such a he was younger than I was. He was less serious about any of it. I was way over serious about all of it.
But that's material you should be though.
Right, right.
Yeah.
We clashed and sort of like two teenagers that didn't get along.
And how did Coppola deal with something like that?
He would say, I remember Coppola said, to me, he said, "You need to go to stunt school and you need to go to acting school." He said to
You got the better of that deal, huh?
Yeah.
and then one time I was caught by Coppola. Here's another good story. I'll never forget this. This is when you learn really young that when they put this little microphone wire on you, there's a big brother is
Right,
listening.
you can't always talk, yeah.
And they were trying to set this church on fire. We did this 2 times. They were literally pouring gasoline on this old building, and then sending us in. Later on, I think someone child protection came by and said, "You gotta shoot this right. These are 2 young actors."
You're in Tulsa. You just said,
You're
"Look,
gonna
it's a Klan meeting."
That's right. It's fine. Exactly. Pay no attention to the guys with the white hoods. One time I was like, I'm not going in that play. I mean, they're throwing, and CT was like, yeah, I know. I'm a little hairy about it, too. I said, I mean, this guy, I think Martin Sheen had a heart attack. This guy would kill anybody. Francis comes over to me. He goes, I think you should go to stunt school for a little while. I felt so caught.
That's right. In Apocalypse Now, people had ringworm.
That's right.
They didn't care. That is the Apocalypse Now story. There's a documentary called Hearts
of Darkness.
Okay.
It's great.
The 2 guys who created Mad TV that I was on produced that movie. And when I found that out about them, I sat them down one day, and it's amazing how I focus on things and obsess about stuff, I guess being an addict. This is how I know I'm a drug addict. They told me a whole story about, they went up to make that documentary with Coppola.
Right.
And they said the first night we sat down, Coppola brought out some weed that he had, and we smoked weed, and we talked about it, and everything, relaxed and everything. And they told me this whole story. The only thing I fixated on was, I said, what kind of weed does Coppola get? What kind of weed
could you get in 1979?
Francis Ford Coppola yet. I mean, he goes, the guys, it was fantastic.
It's great.
But guys developed, they shot in the Philippines, guys developed ringworms, their livers got destroyed.
It was years and years.
Yeah,
4
Brando,
years.
yeah, it was crazy.
And those sketch drawings of Brando. I mean, Dean Tavaleris, which was Francis's production designer, had all these sketches of what Kurtz would look like.
Right, yeah.
And then when Brando shows up, 100 pounds overweight, they say, well, you got to light him halfway down the middle.
Shave his head.
Are you an assassin?
The Secret Island of Dr. Moreau. I read a book where they were mentioning that the guy who directed that, Frankenheimer. By that time, no one could control Brando, and he would come in with ideas like this. And it's in the movie, which is great. He said, Brando came in one day and said, listen, John, I've got an idea for the next scene. I'd like to put a bucket of ice on my head. I think this guy would do that, and I think that the midget assistant would keep putting ice on him to make him cooler. And Frankenheimer said, I don't know, let's do it. And he had to do that. In the movie, he's got nice bucket. It's Brando in there.
Unbelievable.
But I guess he got good weed and also Robert Duvall in that movie. You know how great he is in that. He saves it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I could talk about it all day. Come back with Jimmy Palumbo might be here when we get back. Ralph Macchio's definitely going to be here.
The Artie Lange Show, weeknights on Audience, only on DirecTV.